Busy week for me, and it's only Monday. But still, I wanted to give you a quick update on two stocks we've been watching closely on this channel. First, we've now had 2 days of trading of Albertsons, and I wanted to provide some initial thoughts on where it's trading and compare its performance with Agora's IPO, which happened on the same day. Secondly, I want to talk about Novavax having another big day of gains and what was behind it. Let's get into it. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, where we talk about little things that can lead to big improvements in our financial and physical health. The channel has been growing nicely over the past couple of weeks, and I want to thank all of my subscribers for watching, liking, and commenting on the videos. It's so much appreciated by me. And if you're new to the channel or haven't yet subscribed, we'd love to have you join our growing community. After all, it's free, and it'll make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. Alright, 2 days in the books for Albertsons, and the stock is trading just a little below the IPO set price of $16. How many of you have asked what gives, or asked why didn't it pop like Agora did by soaring 145% for its debut on the same day? Well, I think there are a couple of factors to keep in mind. First of all, both stocks debuted on Friday, which was a bad day for the markets overall, with all of the major US indexes down about 2.5%. And that environment is going to put pressure on stocks. Much of the market being down was related to states pausing their reopenings. On one hand, you might think that would be good for grocery store stocks, but on the other, there was a sense of disappointment for Albertsons' IPO price being discounted about 16% from where they expected, with it coming in at $16 per share versus the estimate of between $18 and $20. So Albertsons ended down that first day. Yet even with the market being down, Agora was up big. We just have to remember that it's comparing apples and oranges. Whereas Albertsons is an established company in a competitive industry with tight margins and a lower rate of growth expectations, Agora is a tech company looking to grow big with products that can excel in a stay-at-home economy. And as you know, tech is exciting because of the growth and the performance. Grocery store companies, not so much. Now that doesn't mean that Albertsons isn't a good company, it just means that it's a company that will move on news and financials. It's not going to move on expectations of world-altering technology. And the only news so far for Albertsons was an IPO price that disappointed. If there is anything I would say is that if you believe in the company, you should feel good that the price over 2 days held within striking distance of the IPO price of $16. If you thought you were going to get a quick pop of the stock, after all, newly listed companies have gained an average of 20% on their first day of trading in 2020, you're probably disappointed. Most of the reasons why it didn't pop are things we've talked about in my previous videos over the past week and a half. So if you haven't seen them yet, check them out. But again, if you believe in the company and what they're doing, and they keep improving their operating efficiencies, they should be just fine. Next up, Novavax. Whereas with Albertsons, it might be slow and steady gains, with Novavax, they just keep pushing and pushing. And you keep wondering if they will run out of steam, as they are now up over 1,800% for the year. Today, more news keeps coming out, in fact 3 big stories. And those 3 stories drove the stock up another 8%. So what were they? Well, first of all, the company is showing continued increased commitment in growing their leadership team by making 3 promotions and appointing a new executive vice president for CMC, or Chemistry, Manufacturing, and Control. Like the new chief medical officer they recently appointed, this person has an extensive history in the industry. And when you think about what the CMC role oversees, you can see that the company is planning on having some successful products get to market. The second piece of news is that an analyst came out and significantly upped his price target from $74 to $106. Some of the reasons he stated were the increasing visibility of the pandemic, infrastructure investments for manufacturing and distribution, the recent additions to the management team, and the potential for additional funding to go along with the already obtained CEPI and Department of Defense money that we've talked about in previous videos. And finally, yet another analyst also moved his target up, this time from $50 up to $101. While sharing the same reason of funding and how it takes the financial risk for developing a pandemic vaccine out of the equation, he also talked about how Novavax would be capable of competing against the larger companies making a pandemic vaccine and also earn over $400 million in annual sales. He stated that it's likely that booster vaccines would be needed as the virus mutates, which would result in continuous revenue. So now we've had 3 analysts significantly up their price targets over the past week, and as we mentioned last week, things like this move the needle. And both days after guidance came out, the share price jumped up big. So unlike Albertsons, who has not had any news out there, Novavax has a lot coming out, and it's all positive. And by the way, didn't I tell you to expect a lot more news and publicity coming out after the appointment of a senior vice president for investor relations? That definitely seems to be coming to fruition. So when evaluating Albertsons and Novavax, again, apples to oranges. But I think it's interesting to look at the reasons as to why a stock moves or doesn't. And these two companies provide a good example of that. So what are your thoughts on where the companies are trading right now? We've had a lot of good discussion as of late, so I hope we can keep it up by sharing your thoughts in the comments section. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button. It really does help the channel, and it lets me know that you enjoy watching videos like this. And as always, I hope that we can all learn from each other on how to take little easy steps in making big improvements in our lives. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, have a great day.